It is game week for the New York Jets. We are just 5 days away from the real thing, as they say. The New York Jets obviously kicking off their season at home against a familiar face in Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Right here on a Tuesday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk, we break down how the NYJ is able to come out on top and be on the right end of the weekend matchup against Pittsburgh. Again, all of that and much more coming up here on NY Flight Jets Talk.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Cimini, Jets reporter for The Athletic Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer and Jets legend Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Long.
What is going on, New York Jet fans? Hello, everyone, and welcome back here into another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk as we come to you guys live right here on this beautiful Tuesday evening, September 2nd, 2025. Make sure you drop down below, smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already. Continues to grow the platform and pump out the content to other Jet fans, to other NFL fans. I can't thank you enough for that. Questions, comments, thoughts, load all of those up in the chat. Call into the show with the link in the description just below where you can hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you all so much for your support. I'm your host, Connor Long, right here with you guys on the show. And joining me right now, friend of the show, the one, the only, Antwan Staley, Jets beat reporter for the New York Daily News. Antwan, it's my first day of high school today. You remember those days growing up, first day of school?
Yeah, I do. That was a long time ago, but yes, I do remember those days.
Bittersweet for me, Antwan, because football's here, but at the same time, I got to go to school. So at
Yeah, the
least it's
summer's
something to look
over.
forward to.
Exactly. Like the summer might be over for you, but yeah, you got football for the next few months, 4.5 months to keep you happy.
You already know, and the Jets football season obviously kicks off Sunday at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but a report, kind of a survey from Vivid Seats, is making it look like it's going to be an even house in MetLife. I think I saw the official survey from Vivid Seats come in that it looks like 48% of the fans are Steeler fans, and if that's
That
accurate, wow.
that doesn't surprise me. I said it was going to be 50-50 anyway. I
Wow.
thought it's a lot of the Steelers are a national brand, first
Yep.
of all. So you look at it like that. Second, Pittsburgh is relatively close. It's 6 hours away, so it's not like terribly far. Like it's a quick plane, it's an hour plane ride if you want to drive in 6 hours. So like it's an easy to get to Newark, and obviously from Newark to East Rutherford. So yeah, I'm not surprised a lot of Steelers fans are going, and there's a lot of anticipation with this when you got two teams for the first time ever have swapped quarterbacks essentially, and now they're playing each other week one.
Most definitely. And kind of where I want to start with you, Antwan. I know you have this team, I think, winning 6 games, it was in your
Yes.
official prediction. That's kind of in the range of where most pundits, most analysts, most reporters have this team winning anywhere from that 6 to 7 win range, 5 to 7, really. And then if you're looking at a glass half full, you're in the 8 to 9 win range. I personally have this team going 7-10. Are one of your 6 wins for New York coming on Sunday?
Is one of them coming on Sunday? No, I don't. I don't have. I have the Jets starting 0-4.
Wow.
So yeah, I think it's a tough schedule. It's such a tough
Yeah.
straight. Like I will say this though. I think they have a good chance to win this game. I think it's going to be a close game. Like it's going to be a bit of a dogfight as well. I mean, you really don't know to expect. I mean, Aaron Rodgers didn't play in the preseason there. Like we hadn't really seen him play at all since against the Dolphins in January. So we don't know to expect there. Justin Fields coming off an uneven preseason as well. Last time we saw him in the preseason, he had more rushing yards than passing. So I think it's gonna be one of those things where I think both teams are gonna really try to fill themselves out early. It's gonna be some struggles there too, especially some of the veterans who didn't play, and I think it could be a little bit of low scoring game, which could benefit the Jets.
Yeah, most definitely. When you talk about keys to victory for this Jets team, Antoine, if they want to pull out on top, the number one thing that I circle is applying pressure on Aaron Rodgers. We all know who he is at this age, this point of his career. He's a 40-plus-year-old quarterback who sits in the pocket and throws. He's a statue in the pocket. There's no mobility, as you saw as a reporter firsthand last season, and us fans saw firsthand watching every single game last season as well. I think the biggest thing for this team is going to have to apply pressure on Aaron Rodgers, send a few blitz, send a linebacker blitz. I want to see Quincy Williams get in the backfield. I want to see Quinnen Williams on the interior of the line apply pressure. This is the first game for Aaron Rodgers, an entire new offensive scheme. He's getting up there in age. He can't move. I think if the Jets want to stay competitive in this game, most importantly, come out on top, it starts up front with the defensive line.
Yeah, that was one of my keys. Will be one of my keys to the game there. But they have to disguise it because you can say whatever you want to about Aaron Rodgers, and I mean he can move a little. He's not Joe Flacco back there, but obviously like he can't move the way that he used to. But the thing is, like if you show him where to blitz, he's still smart enough to like pick you apart that way. So you can't just be that obvious where the blitz is coming from because he still can beat you. I mean his arm is still electric there at times. There, he's not as accurate that he once was, but he for a game like we saw like at times like not enough obviously with the Jets, but yeah he could make some throws that could really kill the Jets defense potentially. So yeah, you want to make sure the disguise the covers is there too as well. So I'm interested in just the matchup with DK and also Sauce too. That'll be a bit key to the game too as well, and also how they cover the tight ends as well.
I also think the stopping of the run game is going to be super important, Antwan, because when you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers and what they bring from a rushing perspective, they don't really have a powerhouse of a running back room. You have Caleb Johnson out of Iowa, who some have high expectations for, still a rookie. Then behind that, you have Jalen Warren, who's known to be a pass catching back out of the backfield. But I think the New York Jets really need to shut down Pittsburgh's rushing attack, and they need to stop really every single inch of this offense if they want to come close. It's going to be a defensive battle, and we know, Antwan, when you look at the Jets roster, when you look at their quarterback position, obviously just with Justin Fields, the defense is going to need to set the tone game in and game out, if that makes sense. And I think this game for the Jets is the most important game this season. I know it sounds cliche because it's week one, but truly when you talk about a team, a new era of Jets football, Aaron Glenn coming in his first game as a head coach, facing off against an experienced guy like Mike Tomlin, obviously all the storylines entering this game, I think this is one of the most important matchups for the Jets this season.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. Like I think this is a game like I think you have to win. Although you're not going to put pressure on yourself. Obviously, it's Aaron Glenn's first game, but if you look at their schedule, like 4 of their first 6 games are against teams that made the playoffs last year. So, and whatever you say about Dallas, they still are formidable enough, at least on the offensive side of the football, that can definitely give you some problems too. I say all that to say it's like I think this is the game that they can win. If you look at some of the other games that are on their schedule early on. Obviously, it could really. I think it's a coin flip. It really could go either way. But yeah, I think if they can win this game, like I think that can set some good momentum for the rest of the season. Whether they go 7-10 or whatever the case may be, I think just getting off to a really good start, especially at home, I think it's going to be key. Especially considering you got Buffalo next week in week 2. So yeah, you definitely don't want to go 0-2 to start the season and have to go down to Tampa staring at potentially 0-3 in the face.
Certainly. And again, I think it's about setting a tone, establishing that culture for Aaron Glenn that he's talked about all offseason. My first thought goes to Rex Ryan saying he's not going to kiss Bill Belichick's rings. One of his first games as the Jets head coach, goes out there, gets a statement win. That sets the tone. So I think this is going to be a super important game for Aaron Glenn, just setting the tone, embodying that culture, what it means to be a New York Jet. When you talk about the offensive side of things, Antwan, we've shed a lot of light on the defense. What are you looking to see out of this Jets offense on Sunday?
I mean, yeah, obviously, just a sustainable passing attack. I think, we know they're going to be able to run the football. Well, we think they're going to be able to run the football. I'll say that. I think, obviously, the resources they spend on the offensive line and, just the fact that, they have Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, who they really like too as well. But, throughout the course of the preseason and even, training camp, we saw Justin Fields at times like look really good, had some of his best practices, but, they were just never consistent enough. And we also saw times where he refused to throw the football down the field. And in a game like this, especially when you got TJ Watt on the other side, Cam Hayward's going to play too as well. And also you got, 2 veteran corners and Jalen Ramsey and also Darius Slay, but guys that can also, make you pay too if you throw the ball their way too. So yeah, he's definitely going to have to throw the ball downfield a little bit there as well, but also rely on that running game that I think, can help them get off to a really good start. So I think that is vital too. Just make sure, just don't turn the football over. And I also think, they can't beat themselves, as we've seen Jets teams do in recent years, shoot themselves in the foot. And that's always been, kept them from, winning more games than they should.
Antwan, you talk about TJ Watt, you talk about Cam Hayward, Alex Highsmith, obviously coming off the other edge alongside TJ Watt. This is one of, if not the best defensive lines in all of football, talking about that of which Pittsburgh possesses. This offensive line, Antwan, throughout the preseason had to face up against a very strong Giants defensive line, Armand Membu facing off against Kenny Clark during the preseason opener. What do you expect out of this offensive line week one going up against such a stout defense?
If the Giants don't practice in the preseason game or any indication, like, it could be some struggles. I mean, we saw it out there, especially with the Giants pass rushers, whether it was Brian Burns there, Abdul Carter, also even Kayvon Thibodeau as well. They gave the Jets offensive line a little bit of fits there too as well, including Armand Membu, who I think has had a really good summer, but obviously he's still a rookie, so it's going to be some growing pains there. It's definitely a tough assignment for him because TJ is going to be on that side. They're gonna move him around a little bit there. So, I think, communication is going to be key game like this where, you have so many talented pass rushers there. And, just everybody just to hold up blocks and be able to protect Justin Fields, who can move. So, and it also help out the offensive line too as well.
Smash the like button, hit subscribe. He's Antwan Staley of the New York Daily News. I'm your host, Connor Long, right here with you guys on NY Flight Jets Talk. Questions, comments, thoughts, throw all of those in the chat. We're going to get to those. About 5 or so minutes left here with Antwan right here on the program. Momo in the bowling, good to see you. Rich, what's up? Matthew says Jets starting off 1-0 come Sunday. You hope that's the case, Antwan, because the Jets, you mentioned it, they're tough start to the season, and we don't have playoff hopes for this team, as at least I don't. Antwan, my good friend Chris Grasso, who I know you made an appearance with on our Saturday show one time, has the team going 9-8 this season. So I figured, your take would be interesting after I spent all weekend talking to him and his prediction of the Jets going 9-8 this season. Can you confirm if that's asinine or not?
I wouldn't say. Asinine would say. I think if 10 wins would probably be asinine. I could talk myself into maybe believing 9 wins. Maybe I don't think that's gonna happen. I've heard people say that. Like, I've heard people say they're gonna get onto sort of hot streak later on in the season because you look at the schedule after the bye week. It's an opportunities for a potential win streak, and that's what I think could happen with this team too. They could get better as the season goes on. Justin Fields could maybe get the floor of the offense a little bit. It's gonna take some time for him because it's his 4th offense in 5 years, and Tanner Estrand in his first year as a coordinator is gonna be growing pains there too. Like, yeah, it's a staff that has some experience, that people there, but also in the play caller spots, especially with Tanner, I expect some growing pains too, and even with Aaron Glenn too in this state too is just some decision making too as well. This is his first time being a head coach, so you have to imagine like it may be a little bumps in the road there.
Grove says Jets win Sunday, then lose to the Bills. They go 10-7, get into the wild card, and lose to Baltimore. Rodgers threw a lot of guys. Rodgers underthrew a lot of guys last season. Antwan, I say this every year. Jet fans at the end of every season, they're so done with the disappointment. They're not going to watch the team. And look, I've never said I'm not going to watch the team, but I understand the fans who say that. But come September, this firsthand, the fan base is always bought back in, no matter what the case is.
Yeah, obviously it's been a tough 14 years, so I can't imagine, as a Jet fan, how would it feel. But yeah, I can't imagine, you go into some years like just feeling like you don't have a chance. But I think this is an opportunity, especially with a new regime there with Aaron Glenn, who's a person that he was a fan favorite of the organization. So I think it's an opportunity there, just to see how things go, and maybe it's time for a positive change there with the Jets, because I actually think Aaron Glenn is the right guy for the job. I just think it's going to take some time there. They need to get better at some skill positions before we start talking potential playoffs with this team, in my opinion.
JC Lover says, please ask Antwan his thoughts on Josh Reynolds' role week 1 versus the Steelers, with Garrett dealing a double. Definitely with Jalen Ramsey. What do we do?
I mean, he's gonna have to try to get open because I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, but I think Mason Taylor is gonna factor in really big too because I think he has an opportunity to be their second leader receiver. There also Brees Hall too as well. Like they can use him coming out the backfield and also have him on the field with Braylon Allen at the same time. So that gives you a little bit more options from a wide receiver perspective. But yeah, it's definitely not encouraging, especially when you have Alan Lazard, who's on the unofficial depth chart, listed as a
Yep.
starter right now.
Every Jet fan, Antwan, is overreacting to my tweet because I put out my top takeaways from the official now week 1 depth chart. And the 3 things that really caught my eye: Rucker being listed as the tight end #1, Josh Myers and Joe Tippmann, Antwan. Aaron Glenn is not tipping his hand, no pun intended, with Joe Tippmann there, one way or another when you talk about this battle. This game is 5 days away, and he's playing games with all of us, listing both those guys as the first string centers. Then obviously Alan Lazard in the slot. Is this just a complete sham of a competition? We're going to see Joe Tippmann out there week 1, right? I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
I've sworn to secrecy because I was told not to say anything about the depth chart for what we saw in practice today. But all I'll say is this though: you're gonna be fine. Like you'll be fine. Like I wouldn't even worry about it right now. Like I think you're gonna be fine. And John Simpson's healthy. Like by the way, I know a lot of people like wonder about his status. Like I actually spoke to him in the locker room today.
Okay.
Yeah, he's healthy. He's gonna play. He practiced, so he's ready to go.
There we go. John Simpson healthy. Love to hear it. This offensive line, you've allocated so many assets to it, so many key assets truly over these past few years. You hope the offensive line's in full strength, obviously, right for week 1. JC Lever says this game's going to be huge. It's a must win, in my opinion. If we lose, we're cooked. Thoughts, Antwan?
I will say they're cooked, but it definitely, again, like I have them going 0-4 to start the year. So yeah, if you lose this game, then you go into Buffalo feeling like, yeah, we definitely don't want to go 0-2. Head down to Tampa. That's going to be another physical team there. The Jets plays a few physical teams to start out the season too, and Miami's trying to get there. I know on the defensive side of the football, they added a lot of pass rushers, so that's definitely going to be an opportunity. It's going to be a challenging game too as well. So yeah, the road doesn't get any easier for the Jets at all. So yeah, I think it's important to try to get this win as much as possible this week.
Most definitely, Antwan. When you talk about the Jets pass catchers in the tight end room, and then we'll wrap it up with you right here on the show. They added obviously Jelani Woods last week, a former 3rd-round pick. That leaves the Jets with 5 tight ends because in the corresponding move of adding Woods to the 53, they released wide receiver Tyler Johnson before bringing him back on the practice squad instead of a tight end. It's very, very rare that we see an NFL team have 5 tight ends on their roster, let alone active on game day. Who is inactive in this tight end room? How does this play out throughout the course of the regular season?
Also, keep in mind, like you can, elevate some players too, like if they so choose. So that's something to also keep in mind as well. So yeah, I mean, Woods has just come into the building there. I don't know if he's necessarily going to play right away. He might, but I think right now you feel comfortable with, Smart. You feel comfortable with, Mason Taylor and obviously Rucker there, and I think you're good with that room, at least going into the game there. And you can see about Woods there. I don't think you necessarily, you got him for depth purposes, which I think he has a lot of potential there, but I don't know if you would necessarily want to throw him into the fire just yet, considering like it's so early. Where a guy like Harrison Phillips, I think he can just get thrown in the fire too, especially since he's a veteran.
Islip Jet fan will wrap with this. Drops in with a $2 super chat. Shout out to you, my friend. Says, what numbers do you see for G5 and Brees Hall? LGJ, referring to those of which
in the game against the Steelers, I assume. It's gonna be like you got 2 like I say older corners, but they're still talented in Ramsey and Slay. I think I would probably say 5 catches for 85 yards. Let's go with that.
Last one, I'm going to rapid fire through you right here, Antwan. Who has more carries at the end of the season? Not total touches, carries. Brees Hall, Braylon Allen.
Well, it depends on what you think if Brees Hall is going to stay here long term or not. So, which I think is a good chance that he could be traded at the deadline. So I'll put it that way. So I think overall carries, like I think Brees will be the overall carrier, but get the most of the carries like early in the season, and then maybe as the season goes on, and then we see a little bit more Braylon Allen, and I think he'll get a little bit more. He'll get some more carries.
Antwan, thank you for the time as always, bro. You got any final thoughts here before we wrap up?
Nah, just people can find me, Antwan Staley on Twitter, so all social media platforms. Just find my work at New York Daily News.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's Antwan Staley. I'm your host, Connor Long, right here on NY Flight Jets Talk, saying, have a great evening, everyone. And as always, JTS, baby. Jets, Jets, Jets. Peace out, folks.